Have you ever wondered when the first electric vehicle hit the road? Our story begins in the early 19th century, a time of remarkable innovation and discovery. The concept of electric vehicles was just a spark in the minds of inventors who dared to dream beyond the conventional. Two of these pioneering souls were Robert Anderson and Thomas Davenport. In the year 1832, 2 years before Davenport's invention, a Scotsman by the name of Robert Anderson had a vision. He dreamt of a carriage, just like any other, but with a twist. It ran not on horsepower, but on electric power. Thus, the electric carriage was born, a marvel of its time, yet far from being practical or commercially viable. Shortly after, in 1834, an American blacksmith named Thomas Davenport gave this spark of innovation a new lease on life. He invented the electric motor, a device capable of converting electrical energy into mechanical energy. Though his invention was a leap forward, it was still not enough to fuel the dream of a commercially successful electric vehicle. But why, you may ask, were these early attempts unsuccessful? Well, the reasons were manifold. For one, the technology was in its infancy and lacked the efficiency and reliability required for commercial success. Secondly, the infrastructure necessary to support such vehicles, think charging stations, was virtually non-existent. Add to this the high cost of batteries and limited range, and you begin to see why the electric carriage and motor were merely curiosities of their time, not the game changers they were destined to become. So, despite these early sparks of innovation, the dream of commercially viable electric vehicles remained just that, a dream. A dream that was to lie dormant for many years, overshadowed by the rise of its gasoline-powered counterparts. As it turns out, the journey to electric vehicle dominance has been a long and bumpy ride. So, when did electric vehicles start to gain traction? The answer might surprise you. Let's take a step back in time, to the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Picture a world where the hustle and bustle of modern cities are replaced by the quiet hum of electric vehicles. Yes, you heard that right. Electric vehicles, not gasoline cars, were the preferred mode of transport for many. Why, you ask? Well, the charm of these early electric vehicles lay in their quiet and smooth operation. They offered a level of comfort that their noisy, smoke-belching gasoline counterparts simply couldn't match. There was no cranking involved, no wrestling with a stubborn gearbox, and no exhaust fumes to contend with. One of the earliest pioneers in this field was a gentleman named Thomas Parker. In 1884, Parker, an inventor and industrialist, designed and built an electric car in London. His creation was not only innovative but also practical, offering a smooth ride and easy operation. Fast forward a few years to the dawn of the 20th century. This was the era when electric vehicles truly began to shine. Detroit Electric, a company based in the Motor City itself, embarked on a journey to bring electric cars to the masses. Between 1907 and 1939, Detroit electric cars became a common sight on American roads. These vehicles were especially popular among women drivers and urban residents due to their clean operation and ease of use. In fact, they were so popular that at one point electric vehicles outsold gasoline cars. However, as we know, the history of transportation is a tale of constant change and evolution. The early lead of electric vehicles was not destined to last. As the world moved forward, so did technology and societal needs, leading to a shift in preference towards gasoline cars. But as we know, this early lead of electric vehicles didn't last. So what happened? How did we transition from the electric craze of the early 1900s to the gasoline dominance of the mid-20th century? Stay tuned as we explore the reign of gasoline in our next chapter. What happened that caused electric vehicles to lose their edge in the early 20th century? As we delve into this question, we find ourselves amidst a sea of black gold, the advent of a convenient invention, and the emergence of a man named Henry Ford. The early 20th century saw the discovery of vast petroleum reserves. These newfound reserves led to a significant drop in the price of gasoline, making it a more affordable option compared to electricity. This was the first blow to the electric vehicle industry, as gasoline suddenly became the cheaper, more accessible fuel source. Simultaneously, an invention was stirring that would further tip the scales in favor of gasoline cars. In 1912, Charles Kettering invented the electric starter. This device eliminated the need for hand-cranking engines, a laborious and often dangerous task. The electric starter made gasoline cars much easier to start, significantly increasing their appeal. The convenience of the electric starter, combined with the cheap gasoline, made gasoline cars an increasingly attractive option. But the nail in the coffin for electric vehicles came from a man named Henry Ford. Ford's application of assembly line production to the manufacturing of automobiles revolutionized the industry. His Model T, affectionately known as the Tin Lizzie, was mass-produced, making it significantly cheaper than its electric counterparts. This affordability made the Model T accessible to the average American, and its popularity soared. These three factors, the discovery of large petroleum reserves, the invention of the electric starter, and the mass production of gasoline cars by Henry Ford, led to the dominance of gasoline cars. The impact of these changes on the electric vehicle industry was profound. Electric vehicles, once a promising and popular mode of transport, were now relegated to the sidelines. The popularity of gasoline cars surged, and for a time, it seemed that the world had forgotten about the potential of electric vehicles. For decades, it seemed like the electric vehicle was a relic of the past. But the story doesn't end there. The electric vehicle was primed for a comeback. As we rolled into the late 20th century, a new wave of environmental awareness began to surge across the globe. This sparked renewed interest in electric vehicles. Our story takes a turn here where technology and ecology began to merge on the roadways. This period marked a significant shift in the public's perception. The world started to see the environment not just as a backdrop to human activity, but as a precious resource that needed safeguarding. The smog-filled skies and polluted cities were evident signs that a change was needed. This awakening was a catalyst. The dormant idea of electric vehicles was rekindled. The comeback of electric vehicles wasn't an overnight sensation. It took years of research, development, and a bit of audaciousness. And perhaps no one was more audacious than a little company named Tesla. In 2008, Tesla made waves when they introduced the Roadster, a sleek, all-electric sports car that shattered the perception of what an electric vehicle could be. The Roadster wasn't just eco-friendly, it was fast, it was stylish, and it was desirable. Hot on Tesla's heels, Nissan rolled out their own electric contender in 2010, the Nissan Leaf. The Leaf was not a sports car, but it was practical, affordable, and for many, it was the first real glimpse into a future dominated by electric vehicles. These key milestones were more than just technological achievements. They were symbolic victories, proof that electric vehicles were not a relic of the past, but a beacon for the future. They signified a shift in the automotive industry, a shift towards sustainability, and a promise of a cleaner, greener future. In the 21st century, electric vehicles have charged back into the mainstream. This electric revolution, my friends, is more than just a trend. It's a testament to human ingenuity and our ability to adapt, innovate, and above all, persevere. So, where do we stand today, and what does the future hold for electric vehicles? As we hurtle towards the end of the 23rd decade of the 21st century, the electric vehicle industry is in the midst of a seismic shift. Major manufacturers, from legacy automotive giants to spirited startups, are committing to electric like never before. The buzzword of the industry is electrification, and it's not just a fancy catchphrase. It's a commitment to a cleaner, more sustainable future. Electric cars are no longer the niche, futuristic concepts they once were. They're mainstream, and they're here to stay. The benefits are undeniable. From an environmental perspective, electric vehicles produce zero tailpipe emissions, contributing to cleaner air and a reduction in harmful greenhouse gases. They're a tangible solution to a global problem. From an energy efficiency standpoint, electric cars are simply superior. They convert over 60% of the electrical energy from the grid to power at the wheels. Internal combustion engines, on the other hand, only convert about 20% of the energy stored in gasoline. But as we gaze into the crystal ball of the future, what can we expect? The road ahead is filled with promise. We're looking at continuous advancements in battery technology, increasing the range and reducing charging times. We're looking at more affordable models, making electric cars accessible to everyone. We're looking at a world where electric vehicles are the norm, not the exception. Of course, challenges still persist. Infrastructure needs to catch up. The demand for raw materials for batteries needs to be managed sustainably, but the wheels of progress are in motion, and there's no stopping them now. As we look to the future, one thing is clear. The electric vehicle has come a long way from its humble beginnings, and its journey is far from over. The future is not just electric, it's electrifying, and we're all invited to be a part of this extraordinary journey. Buckle up, because the ride is just getting started.